bad mental health equals buying books. And that's just a fact I need to live with. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and this is For Pause in a Book. I make bookish videos over here in my little corner of the internet. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. I do have another book haul for you. But it's not as large as it was last time. I have 22 books to talk to you about today. A lot of them are like special editions and pre-orders and things like that, but I also did a couple of orders, you know, online shopping, Pango, it's a whole thing. Here's the thing, I sold a bunch of books on Pango, and so I had like $200 in Pango credit, which means I wanted to buy books. But they were like free books, right? That's girl math. So at the end of February, my number was 272 books, which is so many books. It's the highest I think the number's ever been. So we're definitely gonna try to work to get down. Now, between reading a ton of books in February and also doing a little bit of an unhaul, I have dropped that number 20. So we're down to 252, which is still so high, but it feels a little bit more manageable than 272. I don't know why, just psychology, okay? We have to make sure that we stay below that 272 number. Like, we're not going back up there, okay? If I haul more books than that, then we're unhauling more books. That's just how this is gonna work. Let's talk about some books. I'm not gonna be adding that many to the actual TBR though, because I've read a lot of, and then I actually have duplicates of one that I've already read. Let's start with the books that I've already read. So I got a physical copy of A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I read this as an audiobook like 2 years ago and then wanted to reread it and annotate it. So I did that during Gente's Inferno. I have a vlog for it if you want to check out my thoughts on it. I love this book. It's 5 stars. It's wonderful. But this physical copy had this really pretty embossing on it. So definitely wanted that. It's now annotated and gorgeous, tabbed. We love it. We stan. I'm excited to have a physical copy of this on my shelf. And then I also got 2 books from a series that I read as football, like they're football romances. I read it for my football romance vlog. Well, I read the second one, but I found the first 2 books on Pango. So picked those up. So I read this one last year, really liked it, and then read this one during that football romance vlog and loved it even more. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna get the physical copies. So there's one more in the series, and if I find it on Pango, I will pick it up. They're indie books, they're indie romances, and you don't find a lot of those. Like, they're not obviously as like widely produced as traditionally published romances. Eventually I will complete the collection, but I haven't read the 3rd one yet, so didn't want to add it, you know, before I read it. I'm being smart. This one is about the quarterback who falls for the daughter of the owner, who then like becomes the owner. And so like there's like, it's a little bit of a taboo romance. And then this one is messy, so messy. It's about the defensive end, our male main character, who starts falling for, I think she's the social media manager for the team. Only problem is this social media manager used to be engaged to his brother. So there's a whole family drama mess. It was a good time. And this author writes smut so well. If you're into sports romances, highly recommend them. And then lastly, during 72 hours, I read Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. And this is a literary fiction that really kind of looks at corporate, like being a cog in the corporate wheel. It looks at capitalism, it looks at like the little people on the totem pole, and it's done so well. This book is written in like kind of the form of a memoir rather than like a story. It definitely has the same type of concept as The Circle. I called it The Power in my vlog the entire weekend, and come to find out it's The Circle. Same kind of concept, told in a very different format because it feels like it's a memoir. We have this like current thing that's happening, and then there's this flashback chapter like talking about her mom and like growing up. So I really enjoyed that. Like, it was very much a different pace for me, but I had a really good time and I read it very quickly. Now let's talk about some special editions, because I have a lot of them. I'm finding that I am like okay with spending a little bit more money on books because I'm thinking that if I like spend a little bit more on books, then I won't buy as many. That's the thought here. The first one is I got the special pretty edition of A Fate Inked in Blood by Daniel L. Jensen. I picked this up when I went to the grand opening of the Barnes & Noble last week. That's all in my reset vlog if you want to check that out. It has the gorgeous shiny blue sprayed edges. I'm absolutely in love with it. The like embossed, you can't see it on here because it's a white. Maybe it'll pick it up, but it's gorgeous. And this is a Viking inspired fantasy romance. I'm very intrigued by it. And it might be a book that I read in March. I'm kind of tentatively putting it on my TBR for March just because it is a very blue book. so I'll give me some extra points. I have a couple of, actually I have 2 editions of this book, but it's fine because it is one of my favorite books of the year so far. And I am giving you a warning right now that I'm about to show you a not safe for work cover. So if you have this up on a big screen, maybe, you know, other people might see this, but here you go. Here's your warning. I have the At First Bite cover. This is like the alternate dust jacket that you got as a pre-order incentive if you ordered it from this indie bookstore. And like this scene is so important in this book. So I had to have it, right? It has like, it's just a dust jacket. So like it has the actual cover on it as well. But this cover is just, this book is everything. Like this book is about a woman who buys the house in between her fiance and her brother and her fiance's brother's house. After she buys the house, the fiance's brother tells the fiance, hey, you shouldn't marry her. Like breaks up the wedding. And so then she is stuck in this house in the middle of these 2 men, right? And then starts falling for the brother. And it's a mess, but it's so good. It's so good. It had me crying at work. The depression representation in this book is so real. Had such a good time with it. So I've already read that one. It doesn't count towards my number. And then also I subscribed to Afterlight. So their February book was At First Bite. And this one is also gorgeous. It's got these like the little strawberries, which is so cute. And then like the inner, whatever these are called, whatever. And then the, like, it's the houses around. So you can kind of see like the little house in between. It's really, really cute. I also have my Illumicrate. I've been doing this for a couple of months. So I have 2 boxes for that one. The January box came late, so I wasn't able to film it in my last book haul. But for January, we had Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. This is a pirate fantasy, I think. 12 magical blessings, 12 days at sea, 1 chance to stop a killer and save the world. Dragon Ship. Sounds like it could be a fun time, but I actually have not heard anything about this book. And then February, which just came a couple days ago, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and that's To Cage a God by Elizabeth May. This is stunning. So stunning. This is about overthrowing an empire. I believe Galina and Sarah's mother grafted gods into their bones, bound to brutal deities and granted forbidden power no commoner has ever held in a millennia. The sisters have been raised as living weapons. Now the time has come for them to overthrow an empire, no matter what the cost. Sounds wonderful, and obviously like the book is just stunning. And then I skipped my book of the month box in February, but I did get 2 books for Aardvark. And then what's funny is I got books in book of the month this upcoming month, but not Aardvark. We're just going back and forth. It's fine. So we have The Clinic by Kate Quinn. This is a like psychological thriller horror. It's about a woman who her sister was institutionalized and then she dies, and so then the sister like goes undercover into the institution to like see what happens. I love a good psychological thriller. Maybe it'll be like The Silent Patient, we never know. And then I have The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this is like a Sherlock and Holmes inspired fantasy mystery. And that like could be really, really good. I've heard really good things about his writing, and it sounds interesting, so we'll see. All right, with the special editions, that puts us up to 257 books. I picked up Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. If you haven't seen, Leandra and Brittany both read this, and I'll have their videos linked down below. They both did either vlogs or sit down reviews of this, and they were very good, and they inspired me to pick this up. I know Julie also really loves this book, so I decided to pick it up. It feels like it could be a me thing. Like it could be a Brie book. I don't know. Interland of Gods and Monsters, Soldiers and Mercenaries, Secrets and Wishes. It says it's a new trilogy for fans of The Witcher and Gideon the Ninth. And I really liked Gideon the Ninth. I've never read The Witcher, but who knows? It's really small book. Like I'm expecting it to like really pack a punch because it is so short. But we'll see what happens. I don't know when I'm going to be able to read it, but who knows? And I know that the sequel either just came out or is coming out at the end of the month, something like that. It's super soon. And then in February, I was very much into romance. Like I read a lot of romance. If you look at my genre blanket, it's very purple in February, which is like fine. It makes sense. Like it's February, it's romance, but also because my mental health was not so great, I just wanted to read a lot of light and fluffy reads. So I picked up The Intimacy Experiment. I haven't read this one yet, by Rosie Danon, but I've heard really good things about her books. This is about Naomi and Ethan, and they join forces. She has like a sex positive startup that she founded, and she wants to start doing lectures, but nobody will hire her. And then Nathan is LA Magazine's hottest bachelor, and he also just became the rabbi of his own synagogue. So they joined forces to host a buzzy seminar series on modern intimacy, the perfect solution to each of their problems. And then they start falling for each other. So should be fun. I also got Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q Suntano. This is going to be the Literally Dead book club book for March, and I never remember those book clubs. But I want to try it in March. Plus it's a very blue book, so I could try to read it. This feels like an Finley Donovan-esque story, and so I am excited for it. A lonely shopkeeper takes it upon herself to solve a murder in the most peculiar way. Seems like it should be a really fun time. I also got To Shape a Dragon's Breath. This is a book that I definitely want to read in March. I'm doing a dragon vlog for Realmathon because I'm on team creation, so you get bonus points if your books have animals on them, and mythical creatures count. So I'm doing a dragon vlog, and the book that I had originally picked out for that vlog, the author is a little bit problematic and I didn't know that, so we're not gonna read it. And so because of that, I had to find a new one, and there's been a lot of buzz for this one. It's also from an Indigenous author. A young Indigenous woman enters a colonizer-run dragon academy and quickly finds herself at odds with the approved way of doing things. This seems like it's going to be fantastic. We love a good dismantling the system. And then I got You and I rewritten by Chip Pons. This is actually a book that I want to read before I go to Steamy Lit Con. This author is going to be there, and this book just looks so cute. Adorable. Not to jinx it or anything, but the stars seem to finally be aligning for Will Cohen. This seems like it's going to be like a grumpy sunshine type of romance set with the backdrop of publishing, which is really fun. And then I also got Balance by Lucia Franco. This is the first in a series of gymnastics romances, which like is a buzzword for me. I love a good gymnastics book. I was a gymnast as a kid. I think that this is like a taboo romance between her and her coach, if I remember correctly. And she's chunky. Like, she's big. How many pages is this? Almost 600. Again, why do romances have to be this long? I don't know. And then I got The Eyes of Tambora by Maria V. Snyder. This is a like desert inspired fantasy. I don't know much about it. I was gonna try to read it during 72 hours and that didn't happen. So, cause you know, who am I to think that I could read a 500 page book in 72 hours, even though I read 2,000 pages. Listen, the maths. I don't want to read 500 pages in one book. That's the problem, but I'm gonna try to read it as soon as possible. I've heard good things about it, and I'm pretty sure this author is going to a Polycon. Pretty sure. And then I got a pre-order. I got The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers. This book I think has been equated to The Starless Sea. The Starless Sea, is that right? Yes, by Erin Morgenstern. Once there was a key to elsewhere. For centuries, the Everleys have seen their best and brightest disappear, taken as punishment for a crime no one remembers, for a purpose no one understands. Their tormentor, a woman named Penelope, never ages, never grows sick, and never forgives a debt. Slip into a lush world of magic, stardust, and family curses in this spellbinding contemporary fantasy. I didn't know it was a contemporary fantasy. But I'm pretty sure this is a debut, and so we'll see what happens, but I have high hopes for it. I've heard like good things on early reviews. I also picked up Feybound by Sarah Al-Arafi. It's definitely praised by Jan over at Jane Agaton, and so I picked it up, and I'm really, really hoping I love it. It's a fantasy romance, but I also think it has a lot of military aspect to it, and then obviously Fae. I think it's gonna have a lot of my buzzwords in it. And then lastly, I got Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. This is the book that Michelle and Aoife both have been like praising and raving about, and was one of those like, you definitely need to read this book. I found it super cheap, and you know, there was no excuse at this point. So I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, but who knows? There might be a certain readathon in June where this one might work. All right, we ended up at 267 books, which is less than 272. That's good. That's good. The idea is from here on out, we are decreasing every month. So 5 is not a lot. It's not very much, but I'll do a Q1 unhaul this month. And so after that part, like there'll be a big reset. And so that number should go down quite a bit. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. Is there a book that you are very excited for me to start reading? Let me know down in the comments. And if you're not feeling chatty, do a green emoji for this. This is a very green cover, so something green down in the comments. That's all I have for you today. If you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little button that you can do so down below in the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!